in this video, we'll be working with classes. Mostly, developers think that classes are used to style elements, but they can also be used by JavaScript to do something to elements with a certain class. Any number of class names can be given to any of the HTML elements. There isn't any restriction on that. However, if there are multiple classes, we need to separate them with a space as we did right here. Now, in this example, we're going to add some styles to our application. So, just below the title, I'm going to create a style tag. Inside of there, we're going to add a class called .menuItem, like this. And it's going to have a background color of black, and it's also going to have a color of white. And now we're going to create another class, which is going to be .menuItem.active. This thing is basically going to be inverted. So it's going to have a background color of white, and it's also going to have a color of black. Now let's add something to our HTML. In here, I'm going to remove this example, all of our buttons and H1s, and in there, I'll create a UL tag. UL stands for an unordered list. All LIs are going to have a class that's going to say menu item, like so. And I'm going to copy this 3 more times. So we're going to have menu 1, menu 2, menu 3, and menu 4. Now, only one of these is going to have another class on it, and that class is going to be called active, just like so. Now, let's save it and see how it looks like. As you can see, we have 4 different elements, and only one of these has the active class turned on. That was an example of how we use classes to style elements. Now, let's see how we can mix it up with JavaScript. First, we need to select the elements with a certain class, and for that, we can use the getElementsByClassName. I'm going to create a function called menuClicked. MenuClicked just like so. And that's going to be an arrow function. Inside of there, it's going to accept a current element. So in here, I'm going to say cur element, just like so. Now in there, we're going to loop through all these elements to get different menu items. To do that, we're going to say const menu items is going to be equal to document dot get elements by class name. And then in here, we can specify the class name of menu item. To keep moving between the lines and not save the code, you can use the Shift Enter. That's only going to add a line and not going to store it immediately. So with Shift Enter, I'm moving forwards. And now that we have all the elements, we can use a for loop to loop over them. So in this case, I'm going to create a for loop that's going to have let I is equal to 0. It's going to loop until it's less than menu items dot length. And it's going to increment I for each iteration. Then I'm going to open the block of code for that specific for loop. And what we can do right now is we can add or remove a specific class. To do that, I'm going to say menu items, and then we need to get the current one for the current iteration, dot class list dot remove. With that, we can remove the active class for each specific element. This currently removes all the active classes, but for the current element, we want to add the active class. So just after the for loop, we're going to say event.target.classlist.add, and we're going to give it a class of active. The event target is the current element we clicked on. Don't save that yet. We're going to go back in here, and then for each LI, we're going to give it an onClick listener. So you can say onClick, and then the onClick is going to call the menuClicked function. And then we're going to pass this. So we're passing the current element that we clicked on. Great. Now if you save this, go back, and now press enter. Now we have access to the menuClicked function. If you go ahead and click through the elements, you can see we're changing the menu item using CSS, JavaScript, and HTML, but primarily JavaScript. The code is here. You can also write this in the script file. So I'm going to take that and move it to this script right there. It's going to be a bit cleaner. You can see we are currently not using the current element, but we are using the event.target. It says that the event target is deprecated, so instead of doing the event target.classList, we're going to do current element.classList.add. If we save that and then go back, refresh, you can see we can keep going through the menu items using JavaScript to change different classes. That's great.